The Lunchbox. We are going to be reviewing the finale episode of Loki. As always, I'm Michelle. I'm joined by Lou and Alex.
Hey.
And this episode was called For All Time Always. So final episode of Loki. Before we get into the spoilers, let's just do a quick little what do we think of the episode? And then we'll move into the spoiler territory. So what do you guys think?
I can go first. I really liked it. I liked it so much that I feel disappointed in a way, if that makes sense. I can explain in that it was just for just selfish reasons. I just wanted the episode to keep dragging on. Did not want it to end, but other than that, it was, how they say, chef's kiss.
Yeah, it was definitely, it felt too short considering we were just introduced to possibly the next Thanos. And great performance from you know who. I don't know if we're in spoiler territory. Should we announce?
Not yet.
Go for it.
Not yet.
Go for it.
Yeah. Spoilers. Okay, Jonathan Majors. Sorry, but Jonathan Majors in it as He Who Remains. And I think he did a phenomenal job from top to bottom. He was great. And yeah, the only unfortunate part is that when Loki was on screen, I'm like, get the hell out of there. You two, Sylvie, just go away, go away, Heat, from everyone. When they would cut away, just go away. I don't care. I was a little curious what would happen at the TVA, but when it came to the Loki stuff, I don't know what it was that I was just over it by that point.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Lou. It's not chef's kiss for me personally. I don't think I really liked this episode all that much. Because to me it didn't feel like a finale, and I don't like when finales don't feel like finales. It felt very much like tune in next week. Just kidding, wait until the next season. Even though there was the reveal, it didn't feel like enough of a wrap up for me. There just wasn't enough excitement. There was a lot of exposition and explanation, but explanation of things to come more than things that had happened, if that makes sense. So to me it felt a little bit disappointing, though I'm so excited for the next season because they did say there is a next season now. And that's great, but this episode, for that reason, I think suffered, in my opinion. So there's that. So now we're going to break down the whole episode. It's all spoilers, everything spoilers. If you haven't watched it, get your life together, go watch it. So we are going to start off with our dynamic duo that I will now be referring to as Silky. That's their ship name. There you go. Or Lovey. Your choice.
I'll go with Silky.
Because I hate the other one.
I vote for Icky. But,
yeah, that's
it's
more
still kind of icky, to be honest.
It's so weird. But yeah, so we meet up with our friends Silky, and they have made it to the end of time, the void. They enter this palace, and they are promptly greeted by Miss Minute, who proceeds to make them an offer that she thinks they cannot refuse, of offering Loki the throne and Sylvie happiness, if they just kind of walk away from this whole mission that they're on to kill whoever's in charge. So what did you guys think of this scene in this sequence?
It was really cool. Oh, sorry, Alex, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, when I saw Miss Minutes, I was a little concerned because I saw on Nerdist, Nerdist News, they had a video last week about why Miss Minutes is behind the TVA, and I'm I didn't bother watching it, but I'm I would hate that. I would hate if it was hey, guess we're so clever you couldn't get this, and I'm dear Lord, don't make it Miss Minutes. And
it was Miss Minutes all along.
Oh my God, that it would not be as cute as what was her name? Well, I forgot her name. Agatha, yeah, sorry. God, it's been a while for me. Agatha, it was Agatha all along, right? Right. So that was my initial thought, but going into it, it was. All right. And then the other thing that I thought was I was just so concerned who it was going to be. I'm and don't let it be a character that's oh, that was way out of left field, like Red Skull. It's hey, remember this guy? Oh, look, Red Skull's here. Look at that. Just make it Kang, let it be Kang, and it ... We'll get to that. But yeah, go ahead, Lou.
Yeah, it was like beautiful. Like just looking at the castle and the kind of the design of the castle where it had like the gold trimmings. It reminds me of this. I don't know if you guys remember, but there's this Japanese art where they fix
I know
broken things
exactly what you're talking about. I know
with
what you're talking
gold
about.
things. It was so beautiful. And the other thing is that since I watched it like really early in the morning, I had headphones on, and Miss Minutes actually popping up actually scared me.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
the same with Alex. I was really concerned that it was gonna be Miss Minutes because she had that her when she appeared, she had that look that's like, yeah, I know what I'm doing, but I was also really hoping that it wasn't her. Then I'm glad that she mentioned the the name, I suppose. And the other thing to note was that it was actually kind of a, even though I'm still not shipping these two, but it was like kind of a cool scene before they entered the door. It's nice, and just kind of loving in a way. It was like their banter, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, echoing you guys, I was concerned it was me Miss Minutes, and I didn't like that. I had thought that could have been the case like a while back because it seemed like she knew things were going on. But now it kind of makes sense why she knew things, because she's actually directly reporting to He Who Remains. That's his name. So it's not Voldemort. It's not He Who Must Not Be Named. It's He Who Remains. So she directly reports to him. So that's kind of why I think in the previous episode she was kind of playing around more and she was being a little bit more sketchy. So it was nice to kind of get that explanation as to why she was like that. And then I thought it was really interesting just her making the offer to the Lokis, to Silky, of the different things. And obviously they're both not on board for it. We've seen some growth from their characters, that, Sylvie's on her mission and Loki's just kind of here to carry her luggage because he's just on her trip with her at this point, I feel like. So it's interesting to see that play out. So from there, before we get to see who He Who Remains is, we go back to the TVA and we see our buddy Mobius and what he is up to. So he shows up at Renslayer's office and they have kind of a conversation about betrayal and their friendship and how they both feel betrayed by each other and this, that, the other thing. And we do see kind of what Mobius's plan was, because we had questioned last week, what's he going to do when he goes back to the TVA? So his plan obviously was to free Hunter B-15, give her that pen, and then have her reveal to the other hunters that they're all variants. So she does that by actually chasing down the origin of said pen, which is the school that I guess variant or non-variant Renslayer is the principal of. So it's revealed that she's just a regular principal at a school somewhere. And that's the reveal we get there. So what do you guys think of that whole sequence?
Actually was, I don't know, I was like not pretty confused. I was a little confused with that scene, like what direction it was going. So I've only seen it once. Maybe like watching it again, I'll like something will spark in my head and like, oh yeah. But at that very moment, it's like I kind of know what his plan is or what he's doing, but I'm not sure what she's doing with the real Renslayer, other than to kind of prove to the other guys that they are variants. So I wish I had seen more of kind of the plan.
Yeah, I thought like the B-15 plan was actually pretty smart, because that's pretty much the only way to convince the other hunters that hey, something's going on, it's a variant, and hey, we're all variants. I don't remember the pen thing. Where did that pop up?
First or second episode, I think.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's curious. All right, well that was something I guess my brain just completely forgot. But yeah, no, it was a good plan. As I mentioned before, B-15 can't fight her way out of a paper bag, so she might as well do something else. Yeah. I just threw it just to dig into Michelle.
Well, at this point, neither can Mobius. I'm sorry. He goes to take a swing at Renslayer and gets disarmed immediately. Yeah, I'm like, was that his plan to suck that bad? Because come on, like at least try a little harder.
It has to be, right? Because it looked too easy. They're like, there's no way that maybe he grabbed something from her pocket, like the temp pad or something, but she got away. So I don't know. It was too easy.
Mm-hmm. I'm very suspicious of that. I'm really curious. Like, like I said, kind of in the intro, it feels like this episode's setting up a lot of future things, because now we have Renslayer who just left to go find free will, whatever that means. So does that mean she's going to look for He Who Remains, because she did state he's the only person who has free will? So is that who she's going to reunite with? I'm not like, I don't know. It feels very open-ended to me. I didn't really get like any type of closure from that, unfortunately. So
But
that's just me.
okay. Now here's a question. Do you care what she's gonna do?
I don't,
Because,
should I? Like, I don't know if I should at this point.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Because like so far she's just been like just like, you know, confidently ignorant in what she's doing, like not asking the right questions and just the same thing. And then like now all of a sudden, like she either cares or she just doesn't care. I don't know. I don't care what she's doing at this point. Like, yeah, she can leave and like let Mobius and B15 handle the rest. So I like, I'm gonna guess she's gonna link up with one of the I don't know what I don't know what to call them. He Who Remains.
One of the variants, yeah.
Yeah, you know, that's the come. But that's my guess for second season.
Yeah. Well, now we get to the big thing that we all want to talk about, the reveal of He Who Remains. Though he's never called by anything else in this show, we know him as the actor Jonathan Majors, who we know has been cast as Kang, so therefore this is Kang, or some iteration, some variant of him. So that is the reveal. There is just a dude, just a flesh and blood dude pulling the strings. And then we get a full explanation of the origins of the TVA, the creation of the multiversal war, and then the stopping of the multiversal war by He Who Remains. So without going into how that all happened, if you watch the episode, you know what happened. I'm not going to explain all that. But what do you guys think of both his reveal and then the reveal of the origins of the TVA?
Okay, so it's Lou's drinking. This is what it feels like to be right. Oh, finally. I've been wrong for so long. Like you know, it's kind of bittersweet because like it was revealed to sort of be him, not really. Like it's not Kang the Conqueror. It's He Who Remains. Not even Immortus. I don't know who it is. Like he's got so many iterations, but I was just so psyched to see him just sitting there chilling and like, yes, something that makes sense, something that can lead us to something else that's interesting. I do like his recap because like it just uses like figurines of himself, like the different versions. It was really neat visual way of just, you know, letting the narration take over. And I thought it was really cool, really well set up, and yeah.
It was, yeah, I was really happy. Like for once, all this kind of ranting of who we wanted to be, we actually got one right. And we know it's not Kang for sure. I actually thought that just I was looking some stuff before I watched it, and to me that actually seemed more like Immortus without that, because of what he was wearing. There was like that little thing on his chest. To me, it was Immortus, but at that moment, I'm just like, I know we're right. Give us a goddamn name. Somebody. We know it's not Kang. Maybe Mortis, but probably isn't. They didn't mention Nathaniel Richards, so I just wanted a name at that point. But like Alex, I was just really happy to get one.
Yeah,
one for the good guys, baby.
I mean, I didn't really have an opinion of who would be anyone because I don't know Kang or Immortus or He Who Remains or any of these people. But I was excited to see Jonathan Majors. I like him as an actor. I thought he was really good in this like weird character who just honestly had so many lines, was just talking. It was so like fascinating to watch the entire time. There was something about him climbing on the desk, just how weird he was doing that like I really liked that. I don't know what it is that I liked about it, but it was something that I was like, this character's kind of weird and I like it a lot. I thought just his explanation for everything, I was like, okay, this all makes sense to me. I'm following it along. I get it. I'm on board. Like I agree that this makes sense. And then his offer to Silky of kind of taking his, like either kill him and deal with a million variants of him existing, or take over his place. I thought that was a really interesting kind of, I think it was like, they called it a gambit. That was the gambit at the end. And I thought that was really interesting. And I was so like, I had a moment where I'm like, ooh, what are they going to do? I wasn't actually confident on what choice they were going to make in that moment, if they make it together, if they wouldn't make it together, and all that. So that was, I really loved that. That was amazing. From his reveal onwards, I'm a fan. Like, that was all good. The first half, not so much. So then from there, we see the potential crumbling of Silky, where they actually have a little bit of an argument because Sylvie doesn't trust Loki, and Loki notices, or like realizes, that he's not someone who can be trusted, even though in that moment he is on her side. He's trying to work with her. She attacks him. They end up having a fight, which then ends in a kiss. And it was her trick all along to push him through a little time door back to the TVA so that she could kill He Who Remains. That was that. So what do you guys think of
that? I really felt for Loki in that scene, and like we've seen his full transformation, and we were like, he's gonna have some tricks, this and that, but it's actually Sylvie had the last trick, who actually I also sympathize with Sylvie, because this was like her lifelong journey was to get to this point and kill the person behind the TVA, even though he mentioned that by killing him, you're just gonna make a really big mess and have more of him, like the bad ones out there. Yeah, I still don't like that kiss, by the way. It's still weird for me seeing that kiss, but yeah, everything is broken now, and you even see it on her, not necessarily her face, but her action after she killed him. Like, she just sat down and almost like, yeah, I f***ed up. This is gonna be bad. So yeah.
I called her an idiot. Like when she stabbed Hiro, I was like, you idiot, Sylvie. Damn it, Sylvie. I mean, I suppose that's because like I know like you know the truth, you know like as like you know like we know where it comes from, the comics, and we know what's coming up. So like we're privy to that knowledge that like, yeah, Sylvie shouldn't kill him. So when she does so, it doesn't feel like a complete character arc. It just feels like a dot like like nothing's really resolved for her. But for Loki, continued. Yeah, exactly. For Loki though, it does feel like he's gone full circle, and like he does feel like a hero character, especially more that he was fighting to defend the multiverse really in this episode against Sylvie. So yeah, and I just want to point out Jonathan Majors, his like last few lines, they were so like brilliantly just performed when Sylvie asks, "Aren't you gonna beg?" And he's just stuttering, just I could, and then he says his last line was like, "I'll see you soon." Just awesome, just great stuff. I'm looking forward to more, to seeing him coming back. Awesome.
Yeah, oh man, I'm torn about the way I feel about this, because I understand the motivations of both Loki and Sylvie in this moment. I will never forgive her for kissing him. That's like where I draw the line. Not just because I'm like mad grossed out by it, but it's like he's done all of these things for you, for your mission. Like, he has never at any point actually betrayed you. And you're gonna just like cross that barrier of like, because you guys are both damaged as far as it comes to love and relationships and blah, blah, blah. And you're gonna kiss him as a distraction. Like, that's crossing the line to me. Like, that's really, really manipulative, and that I don't like. So then I didn't feel for her after that, because if she had maybe just like turned him around and like, I don't know, like said something to him as opposed to kissing him to distract him and then like push him through, I would have been totally on board with her cause. But there's something about that kiss that was like next level manipulation to me. And I like, to me, that's a villainous move. It's not just you're trying to get your stuff done. Like, you're actually actively hurting people in the process. Like, that was mean. So I'm mad at her, and I don't like her anymore. I didn't really love her to begin with, but now I don't like her. And I feel very, very, very heartbroken for Loki, and even more so by the end of it, but we'll get to that. Then the death of he who remains, and glad Alex mentioned that. I thought the final line was ominous as hell, and I'm excited to see just how that all plays out. I'm really, really excited for that. So from there, we see what happens at the TVA, and we see just the sacred timeline is in splinters. There's branches absolutely everywhere. It's chaos. All the hunters are running around, and we see Mobius and B-15 kind of just looking at the screen, not really sure what to do. Loki then arrives, realizes where he is, and he goes to find his buddy Mobius to tell him what's going on, and Mobius doesn't remember him. And he's just like, oh, are you an analyst? Like, what's going on? After Loki tried to tell him, like, this is all that's happening, da da da. And that's kind of where it more or less ends. So what do you guys think of that ending?
First, when I saw the branching of the multiverse to like just extreme levels, and my first thoughts were like, everything is canon. The X-Men are canon, Spider-Man's canon. There's no way in hell we don't see Toby and Andrew Garfield in that movie. So everything makes sense. And another thought was I hope they don't make multiverse sort of like a scapegoat. You know how we were talking about Skrulls? It's so easy to just blame it on the Skrull. Oh, it was a Skrull. And then my fear for this is like, oh yeah, it's multiverse, blah blah blah. They can make that excuse now, which I hope they just do this carefully. Really sad that Mobius, actually very sad for Loki, because also just to go back a little bit, like his final lines to Sylvie were the most, in my opinion, sincere thing he said. Like that was just like 100% truth. There was nothing behind that. So I felt heartbroken for him. And I guess my thoughts to like when he was in the TVA and was talking to Mobius and B-15 was that this is another TVA, a TVA where it's Kang's TVA, because we saw the comic accurate Kang statue, like no helmet, but like the costume. Well, that was comic accurate as hell. So just excitement after that. I don't know how this is gonna affect the movies, but there's gonna be something in here because season 2 is happening, which I guess they're gonna try and fix all the timelines and stuff. But I'm just super excited now for what's gonna happen next.
I'll just start. Lou, you basically took everything from my mind when it came to the multiverse stuff. Like it can be such a crutch for writing stories. Like you can excuse anything away just by using the multiverse, or like stakes lowered considerably because like you kill a character, it's like, oh, but we found their duplicate on Earth 1721, and then that's it. So I hope it's handled well, unlike the way the Skrulls were handled in the comics, which was just complete cluster. Yeah, but as far as like the show goes, it like the Loki and Sylvie stuff fell flat because like number one, I just don't like where their relationship went, and like number two, Sylvie was a likable character for like maybe the entirety of one episode, like not for very long, and then she went back to like, you know, her villainous ways, which I don't know, like logically it didn't make sense to me, considering everything that was you know, set in front of her. So yeah, that was a big problem for me. But seeing as how Mobius, like there was like a big change at the TVA, it's like, okay, so we've got something set up. I hope it's not in the movies. And then the mid-credit scene shows that well, we got another episode coming. So that was a good sign.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with the multiverse theory. My first, like when I saw all those branches, I was like, oh no, they're gonna do a bunch of crazy shit and just blame it on the multiverse. They're just gonna make everything they've ever wanted to make, and anything that goes poorly, just kidding, multiverse, it never happened. Yeah. That's my concern for sure. So that makes me a little bit nervous, but also it opens up the possibility of a lot of really awesome things. So fingers crossed it's not abused. Then as far as like Loki coming back, the Mobius not remembering him honestly was a gut punch for me. I like really wanted Loki to have a win. Like it did not feel like he won. He's the hero and he lost. He lost absolutely at every turn in this show, it feels like. And that, like, I felt emotional afterwards. I was a little bit distraught. I was like, Mobius didn't get a jet ski and they're not friends anymore. So I don't have buddy time. So like, what am I left with? A multiverse of madness is what I'm left with.
Multiverse of tears.
And of tears and of broken hearts and friends. So I'm hoping that for season 2, we get to see the like blossoming of their friendship again, because this time Mobius doesn't know who Loki is, so they don't have that animosity between them already. So I'm hoping they can develop a fresh new friendship because that's all I want from this stupid show is Loki to have a friend. That's all I wanted. He's got nobody at the end, and that's really sad for me. So yeah, that's that. So now that we kind of talked about the whole episode, let's just say, like, how, now that we've seen it all, how do we feel about the entire season?
I can go first. We had this question at the end of Falcon and Winter Soldier, I think, on which of the 3 is your favorite show. And by far, this is my favorite show. And as a final score, I would, other than I agree with Alex, the Sylvie just being super likable, and then kind of like at the very end is like, oh man, Sylvie, you dumb. Yeah, I this is a solid 9 for me. I love every second of this series. 9 out of 10.
Yeah, it kind of did deliver on like almost everything we expected. Like variants of Loki, all the craziness involved. Like it really relied on a bunch of the comic book stuff and gave us some cool new things. Like I'd say Mobius is like a great new addition to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and so is He Who Remains. Feels silly saying that all the time, but hey, that's his name. Yeah, it was really good. I do think that the Marvel shows, they did get progressively better. Like I thought at the end of the episode that like it was probably the one show that they should have started with. Like this is like
Sure,
this was like this hit so well, and like it did so well, like in terms of like the comic stuff, like appealing to the comic audience, and having all the action and stuff. I thought this was the one that should have kicked it off. But yeah, as for rating, I'd say the ending, despite like the big fan service, it was lacking. Like it was just too cliffhangery for me. So I'd give it like an 8.5. But the rest was great.
I'm copying you. Also 8.5 was the number in my brain. Same thing. The ending didn't tie enough up with the bow for me personally. The thing about this show compared to Falcon and Winter Soldier and WandaVision, I feel like this one was very, very, very friendly to people who aren't the most familiar with the comics, where we can see all these variants of Loki and we can still get the same amount of enjoyment from it without reading more into it, if that makes sense. Whereas WandaVision, I feel like that was more challenging if you weren't as familiar with the comics, because you wouldn't really understand like who was what and, you know, some of the reveals. And then Falcon and Winter Soldier didn't really have any of that. It was very face value. And this one kind of was that perfect in between, where I feel like the comic fans feel like they got their show and the Marvel Cinematic Universe fans feel like they got their show. And it's like that perfect coupling. So for that, like, I think it was spectacular, and this will be the one I'd probably recommend. If I only recommended one out of the 3, this would be the one for sure. So 8.5. I'm so excited for the next season. Give it to me right now. But you know, we got some other show. Like, I think what's next is Hawkeye the next thing that happens?
What if?
What if?
What if? There you go. So we have a couple more things going on before a bunch of movies. So there's a lot of Marvel goodness for everybody still, and always these shows to rewatch, which I intend to do. So with all that being said, this has been the Lunchbox. Thank you so much for watching. If you've watched all of our reviews of Loki, we really appreciate you. If you haven't, go back and watch all of our reviews of the entire show. We also did WandaVision. We also did Falcon Winter Soldier, and we also did Black Widow and everything else. So tune into all of the fun things. Thank you. Comment, like, subscribe, all that beautiful stuff. As always, I'm Michelle. I'm joined by Lou and Alex, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.
Peace.